Ulrich Brückner is a professor for European Studies at Stanford University, Berlin, joining us now. Ulrich, first of all, Merz got there in the end, but do you think losing out in that first round is going to damage his credibility and ability to hold together that coalition?
Well, I think we have to put it in the context of what kind of political system are we talking about. This is not a king in a fairy tale who can decide what he wants or make an announcement and then everyone in his party group simply follows. This is a lesson learned from a totalitarian system in the past to decentralize power and to organize a system of checks and balances in which the Chancellor is to a certain extent a condition taker. And the Constitution speaks, when we look at the role of members of parliament, about two different types of members of parliament. There are those who are perfectly independent and they have to report to their constituency. And then there are those who are only nominated because a party nominated them. And today we saw the first. This is what people expressed as, we don't like him as a person, we don't like him as a leader, we don't like his style, or we would have expected more from the coalition agreement. And they expressed their opinion, which is perfectly fine and not a constitutional crisis.
He has massive economic challenges. As our correspondent mentioned, Germany is facing the risk of a third year of recession. What does he need to do to create unity within his coalition and actually move forward decisively on fixing the economy?
Well, we have also seen 16 years of an economic growth. What counts as a recession is a minus 0.3 or something over the longer period of time in a very unfavorable condition, especially when it comes to globalization, which is not a lack of leadership, but it is the consequence of being an open economy that is so dependent on functioning supply chains and a global demand, for example, in China, or a different foreign policy in the United States these days. So it's not all about will Merz guide Germany into a brighter future. If the conditions aren't in favor of that, anyone in that position would struggle and will not instantly deliver. But he's doomed to deliver because Alternative für Deutschland, the extreme right, wants a different Germany. And if this coalition doesn't deliver, then it will be very complicated to predict in what direction we are heading.
It was interesting today on the anniversary, 50 years of EU-China relations, and there's a sense of these two blocs really wanting to work together to defeat what they call unilateral bullying, what President Xi has said that. Do you see a specific role for Germany within that?
Absolutely, because the biggest German companies are massively invested in China, and if the general sentiment is de-risking because we simply can't afford to decouple from China, then we have to calibrate the different roles the European Union defines in their relationship and in their China strategy. Should it be a partnership? Should it be a competitor? Or are we serious rivals? And this needs to be closely looked at. And the de-risking strategy can mean very different things, certainly not just to pull out and to end the relationship with China. This would be damaging both sides.
Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate your views. That's Ulrich Brückner, Professor for European Studies at Stanford University.